What's up, y'all? My name's Tim Ream. I'm here today on the 82nd day of the spring cut. We're going to be doing hamstrings / kind of glutes. They're going to be in there too. Not necessarily trying to focus on those as much as I am the hamstrings, but I do have a couple of variations of some exercises that I'm going to bring in. Chris Bumstead and Honey Rambaud just dropped their hamstring and glute day for their Olympia prep. So seen a couple movements in there, I'm like, dude, those would be killer. So I'm gonna throw at least one of them in there. It's gonna be, I think it's kind of a Bulgarian type of squat. I think it's more glute focused, but he puts his foot back on a bench and is doing, basically dangling a dumbbell right in front of him and doing kind of a squat for each single leg. So I'm going to throw that in there today. So the progression of the workouts and the exercises that I typically do are going to be a little bit different, but I am still going to have the majority of mine in the mix. That being said, I'm going to get all warmed up here. I'm going to start out with just regular leg curls, seated, and work through this progression. Kind of worked it out in my mind. I feel like I got it pretty good from the bottom all the way up to the top, and then a good finishing movement for the end. So also, I will say this too, this is leg day, but I'm only going to focus on the hamstrings right now. And as a second workout at the gym, if I get around to it, depending on just like what the schedule looks like or whatever, then I'll hit some quads tonight. Pretty inextensive at the gym for what I would do for quads, just leg extensions and probably some adductors, nothing too extensive. But that being said, we're going to get started over here. And after kind of watching that video with them prepping, dude, I was like pumped up after that and kind of just ready to get in here and really give this a good workout here. So basically gonna add 2 movements in here. It's gonna be standing leg curls. I'm gonna leave that for the very end of the workout. And that's gonna be single leg. And then, like I said, I got that Bulgarian type of split squat in there with one leg back and a dangling dumbbell, or just kind of, he added some weight. So you can do that with having it on your back, or you can do it just dangling in front of you, kind of between your legs. So a couple different variations of that movement. I'm going to do it with probably a dumbbell. Since it's the first time, I'm just going to be, I don't know, we'll see. Kind of, I'm going to have to experiment with some of the weight. A little of this workout's going to be experimental, so that's going to be a factor in this. I'm going to do a couple warm-up sets here, like I typically do. Get the knees warmed up really good and then kind of move full force into these movements. Probably at least 2 warm-up sets for each movement that we do before we do just a heavy set to failure. I just want to make sure that I fucking drive home the burn on every single one of them. So if I've kind of got to throw another, warm-up set in there to do that, then I'll do it. I just want to make sure that I'm just burning and pumped and just full and feel like I just really took every single one of these movements to failure. Get a good sweat on, move pretty rapidly from one to the next. Not gonna go anymore.
Pump the blood through there, kind of an active rest. So you don't go anywhere near failure. You're just kind of backing off for a few weeks and then getting ready to go push forward again.
It's amazing how
I've been wanting to put the standing leg curls in there, but I keep forgetting about them whenever I get here, or else I do think about it and I just don't want to set the equipment up, and it's just easier to move into my regular workouts. But I feel like, whereas you can see these are more of like I'm pushing the weight down to get the contraction. In the standing position, you got the leg up, right? And you're like kicking your leg back. So I feel like it actually would put maybe more weight on the hamstring. And you're almost doing like a curl for your actual hamstring, which is called a leg curl, but it's almost mimicking like the motion of the bicep. And I also think that doing a lying hamstring curl would kind of have that weight more accentuated on the bicep or on the hamstring rather than whenever you're in the seated position. So I'm gonna try and maybe start experimenting with them, or at least I'm thinking about it right now. And it just seems like actually that movement might be more efficient and you could get more of a concentration for the leg bicep and hamstring for that movement, lying or standing. Seems like it might be a little bit more effective. So definitely don't want to leave any gains on the table if there are some to be had. Alright, we'll start bumping up weight on this here. And there's going to be kind of a lot of pre-exhausting and building up to, especially the squat. So I'm going to basically go from the leg curls where I'm on now to a Romanian deadlift, which is hamstring intensive. Then I'm going to go to that Bulgarian split squat. And then I'm going to go to the actual squat itself. So I'm kind of working my way up to a really, I don't know, I feel like heavy finale, I guess, with the squat. There's going to be a lot of pre-exhaustive type of movements, a lot of muscles that have already been pre-exhausted before I ever get to that squat. So that squat's going to be kind of a finishing movement today. I'll go as heavy as I can, but I'll have so many parts that I've already hit, you know, that might not be your bulkiest, heaviest type of movement that you'd be typically used to, but still hitting it, I feel like it's just going to drive it home. Everything else, all the work that we did home. So I feel like I got a good progression to where I can really squeeze the most out of the muscles and all that stuff. So
it's not
all right.
a machine, because the machine's safe, you just pull and put it back. So, and you know, you can train to failure on your own. The only consideration is that safety. You know, so you don't want to get stuck under the bar. So maybe there's nobody in the gym. You train on a machine and you can just knock it when you fail, or you know, you do dumbbells for bench press or whatever. You can just fix them. You don't get stuck under the bar. So you train to failure. So yes, you can do it on your own, but it's kind of better and easier if you've got somebody there. And also, I like that I could have somebody that's got some good energy and they're coming here and they're coming to train. They're in the same.
I've kind of been reviewing some of this footage, and I did have kind of an arbitrary number of kind of warm-up sets that I'd been doing. And I'd been doing one warm-up set and then getting into my heavy set. But before that, some of the footage, like I could tell where my back was more ripped, I looked like a little bit fuller and more defined. And that's whenever I was doing a little bit more volume. And so basically, I started thinking in my head like maybe I was looking more defined because there was actually more volume in there. So I started taking the volume up just a little bit just to see if I could tell a difference. But the thing is, what got me thinking too is I feel like I can do like one, maybe two warm-up sets with calves and then do a heavy set and just do that for standing and seated calves. And I feel like it's very effective, right? Whereas if I'm doing back movements, you know, higher volume seemed like it did the trick. But the thing is, I think the difference is the isolation factor. Like I can get very isolated with calves, whereas whenever I'm doing back, it might actually take me maybe two sets to really get in some of those muscles in there firing to the point to where they are at failure. So it's almost like it's not necessarily an arbitrary type of number that you need, okay, this is going to work for the whole body, but there's actually going to be different parts of the body, I think, that have to have a couple more maybe extra sets in there just to bring some of those muscles in there that aren't so active all the time in each movement, to actually bring those to their failure point. Because the failure point is what tips you over the scale into the muscle growth, like going past what your limitations were last time. And so it's just something I'm kind of tossing around, the idea, and I think that's what it is. Because you can't get near as isolated and focused with your back as you can with your calf. So I think it's actually just taking more volume maybe to really get those muscles in there activated and all the way to failure. We're going to take this one as far as we can. We're going to hop right into the Romanian deadlift here. Kind of about to start getting fired up and going. All right.
We do a blood test, you know, all the parameters, blood pressure, everything to start with. And just like 3 sessions a week, 45 minutes to an hour total. And a good diet and everything, obviously, and some supplements. After a month, 6 weeks, you see people's health results, health markers really changing, yeah. And of course, the bodybuilding industry and all that is my background. But I'm actually more interested, and maybe it's, you know, it's my age as well, it's more relevant to me. I'm more interested in health and quality of life and from, you know, competitive bodybuilding is just an iceberg, isn't it?
Alright. Yeah, I feel like there's some rocking motion in there too. Whereas you do have this kind of, I don't know, this bar and rest up here to keep your legs from moving up. There's still a little bit of play in there where, as if I was talking about if you're doing like a lying leg curl or standing, I feel like there's just nowhere for your hamstrings or legs to move to. So it's just like the isolated factor might be more, man.
I got the weight training quite limited because of my injuries. Like I tore a bicep and a tricep tendon, damaged my shoulder during my career, which means there's quite a big strength imbalance between left and right.
For those people who don't know, you tore your tricep is it 3 weeks before you competed?
Yeah.
You still won.
Reviewing some of this footage too on those Romanian deadlifts. I feel like I want to slow down with that movement a little bit and just stay more in the tension zone instead of like a pause at the top, maybe pause at the bottom, just kind of stay right in that, I don't know, I guess you'd call it sweet spot, and just really start to try to learn how to focus right there on the hamstrings, kind of up into that glute area there. So dropped weight on this one just to feel like get warmed up, but just to get that range of motion down before we start getting into heavier sets here.
I'm done. Well, that's going to be a fact. Is that fact? You know, that will be so. But how about if you say, look, maybe I can't make it to the contest, but let's give it a go. Let's give it whatever I can do, 100%. If I can't do this, I'll do something else. I stay on my diet, I'm in good shape.
I was able to get a deeper stretch with those 25s. I mean, hell, you probably got, I don't know, 2 or 3 inches more of a range of motion there at the bottom of that range of motion there in the stretch position. So as I've been reviewing this footage, I've been wondering if I could maybe stand on the platform and get a deeper stretch. I might try to figure that out here. Actually, I didn't really notice until I just used those 25s, and there definitely is just that little, 2 or 3 inches at the bottom there. Really kind of accentuate that movement a lot. And I didn't notice it before. I got my straps in the house. I'm not going to get them either.
I do once a week, which is stretching, mobility based. So I do Pilates class at the moment. I've done a lot of yoga in the past. I find yoga irritate my hip as well, so I kind of ease that out. So I do some cardio, generally outside. Twice a week I go to the gym. I might do like an 8-minute interval, HIIT interval, like 20 seconds burst on the air or something like that. And just like 2 exercises for chest, 2 for back.
We move over here to these split squats here. I don't even know what they call them, but I've heard of them as a Bulgarian split squat. I've seen some people doing some pretty heavy weight, dude. Probably 315. I almost want to say it was like 600 fucking pounds, one leg, Bulgarian split squat. But that just sounds crazy, but I almost feel like that's what it was. When in doubt, go heavy. Just made that up, but I wanted to go light. The bitch voice is about to win. Can't let it win. We'll start out weak leg first.
Body fat and everything like that, so not to say that you should train light or anything, still train for failure, but maybe bring the reps up to 10 to 12 and
Would you, going back, would you have changed anything with your approach to training at all?
Jesus fucking Christ. Things are fucking killer.
People in Birmingham don't even know what bodybuilding was really. From there to be the best in the world with this drive all the time, this passion, and it's not like a dial that you can just turn up and down. It's on or it's off, right? So it's
and you can see how all of these movements are kind of pre-exhausting. So by the time you even get to squat, I mean, you're pretty much fucking worked out at that point. Not like all the way, but you're kind of starting to reach a good peak. By the time you get there, you're just driving all this work home with the squats. Keep talking about creating a weak link to exploit. Whenever you do these pre-exhaustive movements, by the time you get to those heavy bulky movements or your finishing movements, then you've got the glutes that are firing already, they're burning, the hamstrings are burning. And even though it's a kind of a quad workout, the squat, once you pre-exhaust with all the other stuff, dude, you get on that squat and it's gonna drive home all the work you just did. So I'm big on pre-exhaustive type sets. You just see us kind of escalating towards that position here.
The exercise we were doing and why I was doing them. So thanks for the legend out of 10, mate. Don't worry. Come to England and tell them you know me. Nobody's going to stab you, yeah?
Well, for the rest of the week, when you weren't training, what were you doing?
Resting, man. Just rest. Best in, depends on what coach gave people, but never in online, right? So it's books or letters or phones before we had email. So Mike used to do a lot in person at Gold Gym and on the phone. So I guess he was probably one of the first people that was kind of a coach or doing coaching. Well, you know, you obviously coaches in the gym, people in the gym, personal trainers, but not.
I'm gonna call that good on that movement. Kind of just did 2 kind of sets to almost a point of failure. Pretty good warm-up set, but those last ones are right there. Probably squeeze a couple more out, but I'm not gonna go super intense with that movement just because it's the first time I've done it. So I can work my way into it a little bit. I know I've got these squats to drive home too, so yeah, those definitely got the glutes firing. One of the other things, exercises I did, hip thrusts for glutes. I wanted to try that. I was more excited about the Bulgarian split squats and standing leg curls than I was the hip thrust, so I might work those in at some point, but not today.
I know that I've never really seen anyone try too hard.
Yeah, well, I always recommend people at least once or a couple of times go and train with somebody who's like genuinely going to push you, because how do you even define intensity? It's very relative. Like somebody might think, oh well, yeah, I train pretty hard, and I used to be a coach for years. I would watch them train. I'm like, no, like that's not really hard. Now we're going to train.
Kind of figured out a format for these videos. While I was doing the 45 hard program, those videos need to last 45 minutes, the workout. So I played the whole thing without editing. Now that I'm in the spring cut with no program to adhere to other than my own, then I'm gonna start trimming and doing a little bit more editing. Keep everything more precise and time effective. Where I'm doing weight changes, unless I'm talking, then I'm gonna edit those out. I'm just gonna have it really short and precise for everybody, just to be mindful of everybody's time. Yeah, got a new format. Just kind of thinking out loud, but so I can drive this home.
Yeah, I think if anybody's dealing with any kind of bullshit in their life, whether it's like family, career, whatever it might be, the best thing to do is just go to the gym and let it out.
Yeah, fuck everybody in the gym, you know? They won't know. They don't take it personal, they're just in your head, whatever it is. I used to think...
Alright, I'm gonna drive one set home to failure here. Take this in as far as we can. Shoot for at least 10 or 12, I don't know, whatever. I'm not gonna get more of just throwing an arbitrary number out there.
Now my retirement, so we're talking 99 into early 2000s. Went through like real clinical depression, not knowing like I've been doing this thing for so long, that's all I've been doing. I don't know who I am outside of this anymore. I'm lost. Like, I remember who I was when I was 20 years old before I started, but I'm not now, 45, and all I've done is bodybuilding. It's all. I lost it all off, like tunnel vision. Didn't go out, didn't want to go to social events or anything. I just wanted to be, I wanted to do it, but
I need to understand as well what the world was.
Gonna drive one set home to failure for the hamstrings. Double leg, I'm gonna go over there and do some standing singles.
I do that as well because I was so ready to that to swing the other way where I wasn't, and I felt free and doing crazy stuff. I mean, that I couldn't have done anyway because I'm somewhat of a celebrity or well known. It opened a lot of doors that wouldn't have been opened when I was younger anyway. So yeah, and then I got to the point where hey, I met a good woman. I mean, it didn't stop straight away. Fortunately, was very tolerant, and she didn't. Maybe want to stop that at some point. But, and that's going to be the right. If anyone told me not to do something, it's the best way to get them to go and do it more. Right? So I guess.
This movement here is a little bit experimental, haven't done it before, so I'm gonna be messing with the weight a little bit, do 1 or 2 warm-up sets, and get into a heavy set to failure. I'm already pre-exhausted. I would typically move into this to failure from my last exercise, but since it's new, I just want to find what weight I can actually do that with. So working up through a couple warm-up sets is gonna do that. So I'm gonna start at this, and hell, this one might be enough, I don't know.
I want to learn, so I want to switch up. You tell me to do this, I'll do this. So I'm not thinking about it.
I remember when I was in my 20s, I kind of built up this reputation that I was a coach, bodybuilder guy. Yeah. And after a while, it starts to get a bit repetitive. How long is this going to continue for? I don't want to be those guys who are only one-dimensional. There's just known for doing one thing, and you know what? When he gets into his late 30s, 50s, you know, the physique is going to start to go downhill, then what do you do?
Exactly. If you're,
Definitely can use more weight.
In a way, addicted to that image, that personality, and you know, especially the guys that are using steroids, because they don't want to give it up, right? They want to go back to being that guy that was a bit smaller and everything before. So it's kind of that can be a cycle as well, you know, just being that guy. And if you're doing something really on a professional competitive level, then it is your life. It has to be like that. But if you're not, it doesn't have to be like that, and it shouldn't be really, but it was. I mean, imagine.
Definitely a lot different of a movement from your typical seated position where you're curling the legs under. This, you're curling the legs up. So I feel like you are probably putting more and keeping that muscle under tension more frequently for a longer period of time. Just that angle, man, accentuate that movement a lot.
That to happen, because they have to just all blow apart and they have to like figure out stuff without. Most people that have been on a spiritual journey, it normally starts with some kind of life crisis. Because while we're comfortable, we don't change anything. We just carry on and carry on. Something drops in your life, everything falls apart, and you're like, what the fuck is this all about? And you just start thinking and searching, and that's how it started.
Does it have to involve taking some sort of
Kind of a new movement, so still gonna have to play around a little bit with it and see what kind of range of motion, leaning forward, leaning back, you know, what kind of is the best contraction and squeeze. This takes a little bit of time to figure it out here.
And so on, but all the people you read about having visions, the ancient Greek mystery schools, and they to go into the temple and they call it like you die and you're born again in the temple in these secret ceremonies, and with the evidence left behind, like diagrams of drinks and plants and so on. So it's been used. People are aware of, you know.
Definitely use a lot more weight. We're just going to take this one to failure.
But my attempt to describe it will never be sufficient.
Yeah.
Because I don't have the vocabulary. I can't show you what was inside my head. So people try to describe it, but it's very difficult to describe because it's multi-level. Is it, it's going to help with your trauma and but there's levels to this, not just about that, there's levels to it. And the main thing is that you're going to become aware that there is much more here than what you can see right now. What you can see from me sitting in this couch and these things here is about 1% of what's in this space. The other 99% we can't perceive at this moment in time, yeah? So we could be sitting here, and you can tune a dial on the thing, on the radio, whatever, and pick up beach grooves. I like beach grooves, good channel out there to plug for beach grooves.
your 5 senses?
Yeah, but what I'm saying is, we could tune the dial now and pick up 100 different radio stations, or whatever, just for argument's sake, 100. So they're all here, right?
Yeah.
But while you listen to beach grooves, you can't really listen, or aware of the other ones, but they're still in the same space, right?
Yeah.
So that's the same thing with a lot of stuff. There's a lot of stuff in the space, in this tiny space that you're not aware of, and when you take psychedelics, you will be aware of a lot more, and you'll know, and you won't be able to forget there's much more, and that just changes your whole perception, your whole thinking process, and ability to think. It just blows it open. So it's much more than, it's not like, hey, this is fun. And I haven't done any psychedelics for 5 years, because I've done a lot and I've really got a lot from it, but
Okay, could definitely squeeze more out of that movement. Kind of found where my max is going to roughly be at. Probably gonna be another 15 or 20 pounds on top of that weight there. Kind of got up into the higher rep range. I'd rather not be up that high in rep ranges. Rather stick in about the 8 to 15 range. So definitely could use some more weight on that movement. Whenever you're experimenting with different movements in your exercises and your workouts, I mean, it's just gonna go like that sometimes. So it is what it is. But I do got more of a full and complete scope of how it works and all that shit. So definitely gonna be chewing on it over this next week or so. So whenever I come in here next time, I can be a little bit more effective with the workout and exercise. But that being said, today was day 82 of the spring cut. At about 1,500 calories, I've got roughly, I don't know, probably 55 more days to go. It's 55,000 calories that I'll lose fat-wise, divided by 3,500. Probably gonna come out to around like 12 pounds. So I'm at about 158 pounds right now. So I'll get right down to about that 145 mark where I was shooting for. That being said, I really appreciate you guys following along with me, engaging with me in the comments. If you like the way that I take you through the workouts and just like the way that I break them down, I just ask you to please share, like, and subscribe. If you don't like them, that's all good too. We'll part as friends. I have left my email in the description on my About page on my YouTube channel. I'm going to start extending some of my knowledge to you guys. So if you guys are looking to get your macros right, or a training regimen, or just somebody to kind of help you through kind of your journey as you're losing weight or getting back into the gym, man, go to my About section. My email's there. Send me an email and I'll help you out with whatever I can. So, all right, that being said, I appreciate you guys. This was hamstrings / some glutes in there too. And tomorrow's a rest day, so I'll be back with you the next day on back. So, all right, I'll see you guys later.